If I told you a great prophet and spiritual leader lived in modern times, in our times, only having died about 50 years ago, would you believe me? You might say, if so great a prophet lived, why haven't I heard of him? Why, indeed. Meet Neville Goddard, born in 1905 and died in 1972. Some say he was nothing more than a con man, a profiteer instead of a prophet. But those same people say the same thing about many holy men and women from age-old holy societies all over the world. But I say he's a prophet. We all choose to see what we want to see. It will take me a lifetime and then some to try to understand everything he said. I mean, really understand it. Because like all prophets, he often spoke in riddles, in lightly veiled facts, sometimes heavily veiled. After all, what's the point of revealing the splendor of eternity to someone who hasn't earned it, and would most likely toss it aside and reach for the next shiny bauble? Cast not your pearls before swine. If you want anything in life, you gotta work for it. Neville's writings and speeches also had so many layers to them. You could peel them and still find deep layers. And just when you think you've grasped it, you find a whole new level. In addition, he often spoke openly of religious texts, and this always wearied the atheist crowd. Although, to be frank, most deeply religious people found Neville to be a blaspheming crackpot, whether he quoted a holy book or not, because he always came just a little too close for comfort. I want to focus here, though, on just one thing he said, a mere 7 words. That's all, 7 words. I don't purport to have the full meaning of these words, but I have delved and looked within myself. And what I have learned has changed my life. Maybe it will change your life too. I wonder if Neville would approve with what I have come up with, because I'm not sure where his layers end and my layers begin. He said, "Leave the mirror and change your face." Yes, you heard that correctly. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? When I first saw it, I thought it was a typo. Oh, I had so much to learn. But if I am anything, I am a persistent student. I am relentless. So I thought about it a lot. And here's the first layer. Neville believed that our thoughts could change our lives. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know I believe the same thing. He said that the situation you find yourself in right now, or at any time, was created by you in the past and you just don't remember it. Somehow you focused on it, thought about it, fantasized, whether for bad or good, dreamt about it. And slowly but surely it solidified, it manifested. So the first layer for leave the mirror and change your face is this. When you look in a mirror, you see your own reflection. As you approach the mirror, maybe in your bathroom or your bedroom, you pretty much know what you're going to see. You're going to see you, the you that you are right now. And the mirror does not disappoint. The mirror always shows you you. And it's very predictable too. Wherever you go and whatever mirror you look into, there you are. But what if you wanted to change who you are? What if you didn't like who you are? Or you just knew you could be so much better? How might you go about doing that? Well, the first thing you'd have to do is leave the mirror. You'd have to deliberately not look into the mirror for quite some time. You'd have to resist the urge, the temptation to look in the mirror. Because if you looked in the mirror, you'd have the same old expectation of the same old image, and the mirror would not disappoint you. It would show you the same old you. But remember, you wanted to change, so you can't keep looking in the mirror. Because if you kept looking at the same thing, you'd keep getting the same thing. So now I'm sure you figured out that you have to change your perception of yourself, mentally, how you perceive yourself, how you want to look, not how you do look, but how you would like to look. And when I say look, I'm not just talking about outer appearances. In fact, that's the least of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole you and how you reflect yourself to others. Your personality, your quirks, your kindness, or perhaps your cruelty. That is all reflected. So you mentally change your perception of yourself. You think about it. You dwell upon it. You really feel as if you are this new person. And you don't think about the old you at all. At all. That's why you've left the mirror, right? You don't want to think about the old you. You want to think only about the new you. Well, by and by, the new you begins to solidify. For some, it happens relatively quickly. For others, it takes quite some time. That's because you have to consciously understand what you're actually doing. But eventually, the new you begins to solidify more and more until it has finally manifested. And one day, you walk past that mirror on the wall, and you see a whole new you, a whole new person. The old reflection is gone. Now there is a new you, a new reflection, looking back at you from the mirror. And that's how you leave the mirror and change your face. Now, this is not just a play on words. This is something tangible that you can really do. But the key is to stop focusing on the old you. And in order to do that, you have to leave the mirror. So that's the first layer Neville gave. Are you ready for another layer? This is one of my own layers, kind of mixed up with Neville. Okay, let's do it again. Leave the mirror and change your face. So taking what you already now know about the mirror and how it reflects your current perception of yourself, a perception you built yourself in your mind in the past, how might you use the mirror's reflection to change life, to manipulate circumstances? Okay, let's see. What if the mirror Neville spoke about was just a metaphor? Most prophets speak in tongues. I doubt that Neville was any different. What if it wasn't a real mirror on the wall in your bathroom or your bedroom that Neville was talking about, but instead it was the concept of reflection itself? After all, in the first layer, we didn't change the mirror, we changed ourselves, and the mirror's image then appeared to change, but it was still the same old mirror. So what if the mirror Neville was talking about was your entire life, your surroundings, your day-to-day experience in this world? What if, based on your thoughts, whether they were noble or base, what if everything in your world was an eventual reflection of what occurred in your own mind? So that everything you see, your home, your school, your job, your friends, everything is the mirror. And it's reflecting back to you who and what you are on a mental and spiritual level. Well, I guess if you like what you see all around you, you can probably stop watching this video right now. But when you realize that not only is everything around you a reflection of inner workings, but you also created every bit of it yourself, an ominous responsibility begins to weigh on your shoulders, and rightly so. This is the part a lot of people don't like. Oh, I get it, they say. So it's all my fault, right? All this awfulness, all these terrible events, my life being stuck, all this lack. I'm responsible just because I didn't think right. Is that it? And I get that some people would feel that way. And in fact, I felt that way myself at times. No one wants to think that they're responsible for the bad things in their life. And no, you are not responsible for what other people do. Because while you are busy creating your mirror, your reflection, they're all doing the same thing with their mirrors and their reflections. And you're interacting with them. It's a complicated dance, and you have to learn the steps if you're going to do it right. So, as I said, in this next layer, which is more complex than the one before it, your surroundings themselves are the mirror. If you want to change them, you still have to leave the mirror. And this is harder to do because this mirror is everywhere, not just hanging on a wall in your house. But it can be done. and you do it exactly the same way. You mentally change your perception of yourself. You think about it, you dwell upon it. You really feel as if you are this new person, as if you have this new reality. You see it in your mind's eye. And once again, the reflection in the mirror will change as you change. But don't dwell on the current reflection you see, your current surroundings, or you'll make your task that much harder. And also keep this in mind while you are changing your perceptions. Recognize that every friend you have, whether good or bad, is a reflection of some part of your own personality. If it's a nice person, that's great. That means somewhere within you, even if you're not completely aware of it, there's an awesome person. But it also means if it's a rotten person, if you've got a rotten friend, somewhere inside you, there is also something rotten. You can keep it or you can get rid of it. The choice is up to you. That's what being human is all about. That's what separates us from the animals. We have choices because we are a privileged species. But do remember that birds of a feather flock together. But hey, as I said, it's a whole new level, and every level up is more difficult and infinitely more complex. So those are just 2 layers of leave the mirror and change your face. I'm such a brat though, so I'll leave you with a tiny tidbit of yet another layer I've discovered by interpreting Neville's work, and I hope I've done it justice. But that's all I can give you for now, because if I give you anything else, I'll probably find myself in a heap of trouble. So, what if, just as your world is a reflection of your inner thoughts, what if you yourself are a reflection of the inner workings and thoughts of an infinitely greater being than yourself? That would mean that you are a thought form. And really, that's all anything is anyway. That would mean that you are a channel of this much greater being. And just as electricity flows through the outlet in the wall of your house and animates whatever you plug into it, so energy flows through you and animates whatever you touch and whatever gets plugged into you. See to it then that you hone your reflection and shine brightly and beautifully like the heavenly star that you are. Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?